Hey everybody, welcome to podcast number 3, episode number 3. I am so excited to be on this journey with you guys and trying to get to know you and you getting to know me. Today the subject is about when truth finds you. I got some fun things. I know that if you've listened to episode 1 and 2, you'll remember some of the stories of me leaving my family, and I tripped on something today, and I thought, oh, this is something fun to share. So let me start off with that. When I had first left my family, I literally was walking my dogs, and it was a very sad time for me. And I walked down my neighborhood, and I saw a Ace of Spades card. And I'm like, you're always supposed to be looking for signs from the spiritual world. And I thought, well, this seems like it could be a sign. And I had no idea what Ace of Spades was. So I thought, wow, let me share this today, right? So I go back to chat and I'm like, okay, chat, what does an Ace of Spades mean symbolically? And they said that it's symbolically rich and spiritually intense card when viewed through the lens of intuition, transformation, and soul evolution. And now, mind you, I just left my family, and so being able to find light at that time was really important to me. And I looked even further into this, and it meant transformation, truth, endings, and new beginnings. In spiritual terms, the Ace of Spades represents a powerful awakening or realization, the end of a cycle and the beginning of something deeper, more soul-aligned. A call to face the truth even when it's uncomfortable, the death of illusion, the birth of clarity. It often is seen as a death and rebirth card, not always literal but symbolic of letting go of old identities, beliefs, or attachments so that higher self can rise. What? Here I am walking my dogs, sad. My family's gone. I'm having to do this deep shadow work to release fear and shame, and this card shows up on my path. So, as a reminder, here we are, episode 3, and I am telling you guys that this is a spiritual journey. So if you're here, we're going to share these things. These are not things. The universe has always given us signs. And I think that we sometimes miss those signs, right? I could have walked by and left that card on the ground and not known anything. But that was a powerful message that came with that card that I needed in that very moment. It was just beautiful. So I was doing my my normal meditation the other day, and as if you guys have listened to episode 1 and 2, you'll remember that I am a God girl. I love God. I love spirit. I am just not into religion. So that's pretty important to make sure that you guys know that this is not a religious podcast, but this is a God spiritual podcast. So there's a difference to me. I don't know if it's a difference to you, but it's a difference to me. I will always speak my truth here, and I would expect that you guys can always speak your truth as well. If you ever want to reach out to me, my email is rootedintruth2@gmail.com. So I'm in my normal meditation, and I ask God, give me a verse in the Bible. And I know nothing about the Bible other than some stories, and I'm just not I couldn't send you to chapters in the Bible unless I look them up myself. So I'm not a really good person to guide people when it comes to the Bible. Some people are really good at it. I'm not. Anyway, so Mark 5:16 popped into my head. And I had no idea what that scripture was, so I went to ChatGPT, my best friend, and asked him, tell me what Mark 5:16 is. And it was the story, you may know this scripture, but it was a story of when there were men that were possessed by demons, and Jesus showed up and removed the demons from the people and put them into pigs, and then the pigs ran and jumped off the cliff into the water, and they drowned. This is actually a scripture that talks about how you can see things in two different ways. The people, Jesus delivers the demon-possessed man, and the man is healed. And the people are afraid. And they went and told others what had happened. But they were disturbed that the pigs had died, instead of excited that the men were freed. The man was freed. So sometimes, this is our first talk point, people are more disturbed by your freedom than they are your bondage. So in a situation where you're having to leave a family dynamic and make a decision for yourself, there's going to be perspective from different walks of life, different people, different ideas, different, opinions. And why do you think that people would be more disturbed by your freedom than the bondage yourself? So my opinion is that sometimes people like you to be in bondage, because if you're in bondage, then maybe you're a threat to them. Maybe they see your light. Maybe they see that you have something to offer. And when you're in bondage, then they have the power, and you are actually stuck. You're stuck in, old identities, beliefs, or attachments, codependency. You're stuck. So you're not a threat to that person, because they know that all they have to do is ask you for something, being a codependent person, and they can get you off track in 2.2 seconds, right? So sometimes cutting through the lies and ego and the things that keep you small scare other people, because they are afraid you're going to rise up. You're going to actually, go after your higher self. You're going to cut through their lies and their ego, and you're not going to keep yourself small anymore, because you're going to start understanding what your truth is, and you're going to start speaking your truth. That's one way that somebody could be disturbed by your freedom versus your bondage, because they see something in you that you don't necessarily see in yourself at that point. So the question is why does truth shake things up? I mean, truth often exposes what we've built our lives around: false security, trauma bonds, and survival identities. So if we're in that space, we're really not living our best life. We're not living our purpose, and we're all here to live out our purpose. I've said this in episode 1 and 2, and I'm going to say it again. I believe that we're here on a spiritual journey in a human experience. This human body is temporary. Our spirit lives on forever. So if we're not getting our spirit right, and we're not getting our life right, and we're not getting our emotions in check and following our instincts, and we're letting society and the people of this earth dictate when to end a cycle, when to begin a cycle, what to wear, what not to wear, what to think, what not to think, to dummy us down. If we can't die to the illusion and birth to the clarity, then we are walking sponges and of other people's idea of who we are. So we don't want to absorb everything that everybody else is saying about us. We want to absorb what we feel inside, and we want to chase that. We want to chase that feeling that's inside of us, that's trying to call us in the right direction, and not ignore it just because you think somebody else might not like it. So let's talk about a moment where truth hit me and how it forced me to see life differently. I had, like I said before, my mom was dying of cancer. I'd always been there for her. I was always the person that was there, like, from everyone. Like, I took her to her doctor's appointments. I was there helping her in and out of bed. I was helping her to her doctors, her chemo, her radiation. I was, with the church praying for her. We were, I was there for her. My sisters weren't. My sister Melissa lived in Maryland. My sister Betty lived 3 hours south, and she did her thing, and my sister Melissa did her thing. And so it was just me, my husband, and my son who, were in Florida and were able to be there for my mom. Especially me. I mean, my family was there for her, of course, but not like I was. Like, I was it. But when my mom was never really going to get better, but there were times where she was better, and then there were times where she was worse in her journey. And my sister Melissa decided that she wanted to move to Florida to help, and things just kind of took a turn for the worst. We don't need to talk about that, but we'll talk about that more in a different time. But the truth started to rise up, and it exposed the false security, the trauma bonds, and the identities that I had around my family, and they were starting to get stronger and stronger, and that I was getting more and more detached and moving further away and spending less time and spending more time with myself and my husband and my son away from my actual family. I started to realize that there's something was off. Something didn't feel right in my soul with this situation. And it just kept feeling worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I just kept feeling like I was getting pushed out. And the truth is that both of my sisters were jealous of the relationship that I had with my mom growing up, because I was always so close to her, and they weren't. And so that jealousy was, as they started getting closer, was becoming more apparent, because they were starting to get a lot more possessive of her, and they were telling her things and talking to her, and she was getting weaker in her mind and weaker in her soul, and they were just pouring their own identity crisis into her, and she was weak-minded. And so they had their own idea of me, and most of it stemmed from jealousy, and or whatever they're going to say. They could argue that, but I don't know where else it would come from because I was just trying to love everybody. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't some perfect angel. I never want to paint that about myself, but I certainly was a deep lover, soul purpose person. But the truth of it all hit me when she was coming to her last days, and they all just started turning against me. And I was in this like space of complete and utter confusion all the time, and my mom was just falling apart at the seams, and I didn't know. I just felt pushed out. And so that's when I made the decision to be forced to see life different, to be forced to see the truth of the situation. And God revealed that to me in such a beautiful way, not to punish me, but to free me. I was the one that stayed stuck punishing myself after I decided to make the move to leave. And he kept sending me messages that were clear that I pulled you from this. Like, I gave you the strength to do this. Like, this wasn't about you, it was about me showing you, like, it's time to go. You can no longer be here. This isn't for you. We're all faced with different truth moments, right? We're all faced with moments where we have friends, or we have family, or we have husbands, or we have boyfriends, or we have wives or girlfriends that are keeping us stuck. And we are stuck in the lie. Like, if I leave, they're going to fall apart. If I leave, this might happen. If I leave, this might happen. But sometimes you just get to a space where leaving is the only option. And you're going to feel fear and anger and you're going to doubt yourself. You're going to question your sanity. You're going to do all those things, but staying in silence is no longer an option for you, right? Like, you're at a space where you're like, I need to get the hell out of here. If I keep staying here, I'm going to die. And this is not okay. Like, when your spirit is being crushed and you can't even find joy anymore, it's time to go. It's time to go. I was getting to such a state of depression, I can talk about it now, that I was just having dark thoughts. Like, I just didn't know what else to do anymore. I didn't know if I could live like this anymore. Not that I've ever considered suicide, but I knew that if I stayed in there, my soul was just going to keep getting crushed further and further. And that may have been an option later had I stayed in that space, right? Because it was getting to a point where I didn't know what else to do. There was so much pressure all the time. And then I stood up and I said, enough. And you guys are going to get to that space too if you're ever in it, or maybe you've been in it and you're through it. Your soul is waking you up. Your soul is kicking you out. Your soul is saying, go, 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 go. Now's the time, now's the time, now's the time, now's the time. Like, you have spiritual discernment. It's time to go. And there's nothing else that's going to hold you there, because if it does, it's sacrificing yourself further than you'll ever want to go. So that moment of transformation for me was the most beautiful, magical choice that I've ever made for myself. And, there's a realization now that when I look back at that and I go, gosh, man, why didn't I do that sooner? Now it's that, like, why didn't I do that sooner, man? I would have been so much better off. Sitting in silence with truth and listening for God's voice is huge, right? Sitting in silence with truth and listening for God's voice. Being aware of your thoughts. Being aware of your thoughts is where I started all of this. Like, sitting in meditation, realizing that my thoughts were so tainted, my thoughts were so dark, my thoughts were so debilitating. Being able to stand up and recognize that spiritual discernment, I was being convicted of, why are you thinking this way? But I was being shown peace and clarity at the same time, where I could actually refocus my light, my energy. My soul was so hungry for truth. My soul was so hungry for rebuilding in truth. And this new version of me is growing leaps and bounds on a daily basis, because this new version of me is being watered. This new version of me is not a dried out old garden anymore. It's a beautiful garden that's starting to grow. And I'm very impatient. I am a very impatient person. So it's not growing and blooming fast enough for me. Let's just say that. But we will keep watering these plants and keep planting these seeds, because this path in front of me is soul aligned, and it is light, and it is bright. It is not heavy. It is not burdened. It is the path that I am meant to walk. It is the path that I am meant to skip down. I've found my joy again. I'm like a little girl again sometimes, goofy and silly and playful. I haven't been that version of myself in years. So you know when you cut the ties of the people that are keeping you in hostage because you've allowed them, let's say that, like you've allowed them to do that to you. You're not a victim. You're a victim of circumstance that you choose to stay in. And so the power is within you for you to stand up and take hold of your life and live in darkness or live in light. Some magical spirit or person is not going to come save you. You have to save you. You're the only one that will. You're the only one that will save you. So when you get that in your mind and you get that in your soul and you're living and you're rebuilding your life in truth, letting go of the fix-it attitude, the codependencies, then you start to realize the people around you. Are they for me or do I release them too? I want to walk with people who want to walk with me. I want to walk with people who align with my truth. I want to walk with people who are looking for the light on a daily basis, who are grounding themselves in their soul. I want to walk with the people who want what's best for their soul, what's best for their life. Not what society says, not what anyone says, but what your soul says. I will only walk with people who fill my cup. I will not walk with people who empty my cup, because I won't. It's not that I can't. I can do whatever I want. I can choose to live a life with people who empty my cup, or I can choose to walk with people who fill my cup. And I choose to walk with people who fill my cup. So when the lie breaks, so does the illusion of safety. That's when the real freedom begins. That is a quote. Let me say that again. When the lie breaks, so does the illusion of safety. That's when the real freedom begins. Let's break the lies that society has placed on us and that our family has placed on us. You are not going to feel safe at first. You're going to feel bogged down. You're going to feel like you made the wrong decision. You're going to feel out of yourself because you're doing something you've never done. And that's when real freedom begins. That's when you stand up. That's when you start feeling your power. That's when you get your voice back. That's when you receive truth as a divine gift. That's when you realize you weren't crazy. You weren't wrong. You were just ready to see the truth. God doesn't break your world. He removed the blindfold. He takes you out of the darkness and brings you to the light. You're not meant to walk and stay in the cells that we keep ourselves in. We're not meant to be victims. We're meant to be warriors. Sometimes God reveals things that you don't want to see. And this is what He does to free us. He shows us the truth. When you are standing in truth, when you are standing in spirit, when you are standing in freedom, that's when the light starts pouring back over you. That's when you're swimming again in the light, in the freedom, in love. It is the most beautiful feeling. That's when your gardens are blooming. That's when abundance starts coming. That's when love surrounds you. That's when the people you're desiring to have in your life come. That's when everything starts coming full circle. When you stand up in your truth. It's okay that you stay stuck. It's okay to be stuck. It's just part of your journey. But it's not okay to stay stuck, because you are not learning what your soul's purpose is meant to learn if you stay stuck in the muck. So get out of the muck. stand up. One thing my sister did teach me that I've said in the last podcast is that you're in a baby pool. You're not drowning. All you have to do is stand up. Release yourself. Be free from the lies that no longer serve you. And it takes the first step to say, I matter, my voice matters, my soul matters, and I'm going to step in that direction, and that's what I'm doing. So I support you. I support all of you. Awakening is a powerful realization. It's the end of a cycle to begin something deeper and more soul aligned. It's a call to face the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's the death of illusion and the birth of clarity. Diving deep into the subconscious to release fear or shame. A clean slate spiritually, emotionally, and energetically. Cutting through the lies, ego, or anything that keeps you small. It's a sacred space between what was and what will be. It's time to let go of what's no longer true. Step into the unknown with trust. Truth is not always easy, but it always frees you. And that's where I'm going to end this podcast today. If you guys want to reach out, if you have any questions, concerns, or any of that, you can email me at rootedinsoul2@gmail.com. All right. Thanks for listening. See you guys next time.